What's up, guys? Today's video is a 2007 Pontiac G6. This is not the same as the rear coil spring G6. This is another customer. Anyways, this was towed to my shop the other day because the lower control arm, get my light out of here, the lower control arm had basically become disconnected. This bolt, I think, fell out or something, got stripped out, and the whole control arm was ripped out of place. It tore the inner CV boot, bent the sway bar link here, you can kind of see, did a bunch of body damage. Anyways, I'm getting it put back together now. I got the lower control arm in. That's pretty self-explanatory. Just 2 bolts on the back side, 1 bolt in the front, and then 1 pinch bolt through the lower ball joint into the knuckle. Anyways, what this video is about is a half shaft or CV shaft replacement for a 2007 Pontiac G6. This should be the same for about any vehicle, but here is the fastest way to do it. First thing you're going to do is jack up the car. Take the wheel off is the way I do it anyways. There'll be a big axle nut, 36mm axle nut here, and what I do is take a big wrench up against the ground and lock this in place, so as you turn it, your rotor or your hub will lock in place so you can bust that nut loose. Actually, on this vehicle though, if you have one wheel touching the ground, you can just bust it loose, it won't spin. So you'll do that, and then with the nut still on the end of the shaft, you'll pound on the nut here to knock that shaft back through the rotor, back through the hub, so you can get it out the front, or out the back, sorry. Anyways, next thing is remove this pinch bolt, like I was talking about right here. There's a pinch bolt that goes through your lower ball joint. Remove that, and then what I did, since I just installed this control arm, there wasn't really any rust or anything, so I just hammered here a little bit on the control arm to knock this down out of the knuckle like that. That gives you the play you need to swing this whole thing on the strut out of the way. Be easy on your brake line though, keep an eye on that, you don't want to stretch against that. And that'll give you just the clearance you need to pull the CV shaft out. One of two things will happen. You'll either get, I'll take you over to the bench here. In my case, my boot was torn, so my CV shaft came out of this inner half, I guess, or inner yoke. It pulled right out of that. In your case, you might end up pulling this all out, and this nub, which was right here, will stay in the transmission. If that happens, that's great. Otherwise, if you're lucky, the whole thing will come out in one piece. If this piece gets stuck in there, what you can do is roll under the car, and between the exhaust, I better take another look. When you roll under the car, if you look, okay, here's the exhaust pipe. Let me get the light so you can see this better. Here's the exhaust pipe, oil pan here, and looking up at where that CV shaft was, if I can get the light, there you go. That is the side of the transmission right there. You can fit a pry bar in between the transmission and that inner yoke, and just give it one quick pop, and it should pop right out. So then we'll go back to the bench once you've gotten that removed, and in the case that this nub stays with the inner yoke, which happened to me, you have to reuse this inner nub on your new CV shaft. So what I did is just chalked this up in the vise, and then took a screwdriver and a hammer And all this is it pushes in right up against the corner of this and just tap it out. And then that way on our new shaft, this inner nub, they call it, will slide right back in to your new shaft. If this stays on the car or in the transmission, all you've got to do is slide your new shaft in and line it up with these splines. It does have a little locking clip on it, so just give it a quick push and it'll snap right back into place. That's about it. You'll slide the new CV shaft back into the hub, put your pinch bolt back in through the lower ball joint, put the axle nut back on, wheel back on, and you're all set. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.